Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. The rising Australian heavyweight prospect Justis Huni has defended his Australian heavyweight title, beating Arsene Fosso inside 4 rounds, and this fight was in Australia. So I'll quickly get to the action and then the what next, because it was expected that Fosso was going to be beaten. Huni is a very young prospect, 21 years old. He is looking to go to the Olympics at some point, so he has turned pro. Obviously, the amateur scene has been decimated by COVID-19. He does have his eye on Tokyo 2021, should that go ahead. But in the meantime, his promoter is looking to do big things and essentially clear out the Australian heavyweight scene, or most of it, by July next year. So this fight with Fosso, it became apparent pretty early on that Huni was going to be in control and was going to get the win, and that was expected. He did have the advantages, most of them effectively. He was the quicker man, hand speed, foot speed, good footwork. The speed advantage in terms of the hand speed was evident right from the get-go. And this was a very entertaining fight with Arsene Fosso, who was very game, he was very durable, but overall he was somewhat limited. And Huni was just too accurate. He was able to, I don't want to say land at will, but he was getting pretty much most of what he wanted away on Arsene Fosso. Although there were 1 or 2 shots that he did eat, so we are seeing that Justis Huni does have a bit of a chin. But this was a fun fight, high-octane fight. There was a lot to like about the performance. And again, you saw a good variation of punches on display, good uppercut, and the jab was good. He showed he could work from the inside as well from the outside at range. Obviously, against some guys that are a bit taller that he'll come against later in his career, he probably is going to have to work more from mid-range to the inside. But against Fosso, he was able to effectively do what he wanted in there. And he did, have a bloody nose by the end of round 1. This is Huni because he took a few shots. But apart from that, he was in control the whole fight. It was a good performance for a second pro fight, and in the context of his career, and when you compare him to other prospects and other recent prospects that are of a very good sort of ilk, he is actually quite far along in his development. Relatively speaking, he's relatively polished, but you would expect that for a guy who's medaled at the World Championships at the amateur level. So I know that some people aren't necessarily thrilled that he's turned pro and is intending to go back down and fight at the Olympics, but that is something that you can do, and I know that I've had a number of people question that before, but that is a thing. So he can still progress his dream to go to Tokyo 2021. But the reason that he's turned pro is he needs to get some rounds, some action. He needs to actually be in the ring to get some experience to help build towards that, because at the moment, with everything that's going on in the world, the amateur scene, as I mentioned at the start, has been decimated. But there is a plan. So this fight will sort of put a sort of line in the sand there, because, like I say, good performance. Arsene Fosso was game, but he just wasn't up to it, and ultimately the ref jumped in there in the 4th round, and his corner was, a few seconds later throwing the towel, all that sort of stuff. But Huni, he looked good, defends his Australian heavyweight title, and he moves on, and his promoter is actually looking to toss him in with pretty much most of the rest of the Australian heavyweight scene inside the next sort of 6 months or so. Bearing in mind, he's also already faced Whainga Opilu. So they're looking to actually have a fight with Herman Ine Purcell in March. They're looking to have a fight in May against Alex Leapai, so obviously a former world title challenger, and Lucas Browne, who used to be a WBA belt holder for a brief period. They're looking to fight him in July, and him and Leapai, certainly high-profile figures in Australian heavyweight boxing history in general. It's not exactly a talent pool that's sort of excelled in recent decades, but they are 2 of the bigger names that have been around in the past 20 years or so. And they're looking to toss him in with them in May and July respectively. And then they're looking for, if the Olympics go ahead, Huni will go go to, and if they're held July and August. Bearing in mind, he had qualified for the Olympics back in 2019 when he medaled at the World Championships. So that is the plan. They want him to stay busy, get some rounds, but it's a double-edged sort of sword here in terms of what they're looking to do, because it's preparation for the Olympics. But this is also, remembering the region that he comes from. Not a lot of heavyweight talent around, not a lot of big-name heavyweights in the Oceania sort of region. Joseph Parker is one of probably the biggest name out of them all. But after that, you can sort of debate who is the next sort of heavyweight in line, and especially in terms of profile. Maybe it's sort of like a Lucas Browne. The name value is better than the name value of a Dempsey McKean, although I think Dempsey McKean beats Lucas Browne at this point. I think a lot of people beat Lucas Browne, including Justis Huni. I would be picking Justis Huni all day, every day against Lucas Browne. But of Lucas Browne, so he's obviously been speaking about this fight. Browne is intending to have some sort of fight himself in February, and he's talking about that in this clip I'm about to play. But regardless of that fight, win, lose or draw, the Huni fight has been signed. So here is Lucas Browne.
How's everyone doing? Some great news out this morning about a fight for myself. It's going to be against Justis Huni. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know if it's Honey or Huni, but Huni from Australia. He's only 1-0 at the moment. Australian champ, an absolute champion of a boxer. Seems like a really nice kid. Still fighting in the amateurs. Due to COVID, it's all sort of gone tits up a little bit, but yeah, he's still fighting amateurs, he's still going for medals, etc., but he's also pursuing his pro career, which I fully commend the kid for. Well done. Well done to his promoters and everyone else for getting on board. Now, as I said, he's fought once and he's won the Australian title. He's fighting again this weekend, very soon. And then he's also fighting in February, I believe, and then against myself in July. So he's going to be keeping active. He's going to be keeping very productive, which is good. Again, I commend everything he's doing and everything the promoters are doing for him. So well done, especially during this time. So I myself, I've signed the deal for a July fight with Justis, but I'm also working on a deal for January or February. There's a few options. There's one in UK against Wardley again, so that's a definite. I'm heading for that. There's a February in Australia. There's also a February in Europe. So there's a few options as well. So for me, I'm looking at Wardley in January and then Justis in July. So that's basically where it's at for me at the moment. Hope everyone's well. I will keep everyone up to date and informed as it comes to me. But at the moment, that's what I was looking for. So thank you. I hope everyone's having a good day.
So it's pretty clear what the Huni side of the camp is looking to do ahead of the Olympics, which obviously he's expected to do well at if they go ahead. They want to build his name because ultimately down the line, he's the next sort of guy in the Australian heavyweight scene, but also more broadly in the sort of broader Oceania region. Kind of, like I've mentioned in previous videos, I really haven't seen this level of hype and sort of excitement and expectation since Joseph Parker turned pro in 2012. So he is the sort of next guy on the sort of scene in this sort of area that looks like to be coming through, that is going to have a burgeoning fan base, and people will support him and will be interested to see his progression. But they are seemingly going to probably be overpaying some of these guys to get them in the ring. But if needs must, to build his profile with the public and get the public starting to get behind him, ultimately it could be a smart move to do that. But what do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.